Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Al-Ijara, renting and services in the Hanbali school. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu salam ala Rasul Kareem. Rabbana taqabbal minna zidna ilma wa hikma wa huda. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad abduka wa rasuluka nabiyyil ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima. أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا اللهم آتنا نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها نعم شيخنا أما بعد. All the praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this life, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like He made the first creation, He's going to make the next one. And may the blessings and peace be upon His final prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he's what everybody in the world they follow and love. And if they don't do that, then they're following the darknesses and the void. And today we're going over in the Hanbali school, as explained by Ibn Qudamah, the Sheikh, the concepts about the ijara, which means renting, and also the Sheikh he considers that to be the services that people they do for the ijara as well. So renting and service. Would you like to read the first one, Sheikh Lisan?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Al-Ijara. Sheikh, this is the renting and service.
Yes.
Why is it service? I thought Ijara is just renting.
Yes, it means also like hiring people for stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I think the concepts it has here, service is like a better translation than saying like hiring somebody. Because he talks about the difference between that in one of the points later on.
Okay.
So the better translation is service.
Gotcha.
No.
Okay.
No.
And so, وهي عقد على المنافع لازم من طرفين.
Yes.
طرفين.
Yes.
It is a contract for benefits binding on both parties.
Yes. It's a contract between two people. One person they pay the money, the other person does something. So that's basically a contract.
وهي عقد على المنافع. So it is a contract that has benefit لازم من طرفين. It's both sides.
Yes,
like
both
benefits
sides
on both sides.
Yeah, the renter he benefits from renting the place.
Yeah.
And the person that rents it to him he benefits from
the money,
the compensation for it. Then the service too. The person if they hire somebody to do a service, the person that does a service he benefits by the compensation for it.
Yeah.
And the person getting the service done he has that service done. So that's the point for that. No?
Okay. لا يملك أحدهما فسخها. Neither party has the right to terminate it.
Yes, once they agreed with the contract, then they can't just cancel it without the contract being done, and then the terms of the contract.
Okay. Unless they agree, unless they both agree, yes.
Yes. Then,
if they both agree,
yes,
then that's fine.
Yes, but if one party wants to cancel it, they already made the contract, so that's breaking the contract, breach of contract.
Okay. ولا تنفسخ ولا تنفسخ بموته ولا جنونه.
Yes.
So it is not terminated by the death of a person or the insanity of that person.
Yes, because what happens is if they do a service on somebody, he dies, then somebody else is going to go there and pay for it. Like for example, they have a car, and they tell the person, "Oh, change the." I always give an example: change the starter on the car.
Okay.
Then the person, the mechanic does that. Then the person died, for example. Then somebody else, the relatives are going to come and pay for it. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah, because the work is done. Like the payment still has to happen, even if the person passes away.
And vice versa, also, if there's a mechanic shop, right? Person they go there and they say, then change this starter for me.
And the mechanic dies.
And the owner dies or something like that. Then the new owners they have to complete it. So that's the point for it.
Interesting.
And same thing with the insanity. But person they become insane, then he has. Like it's mentioned in the Quran, وَلْيُمْلِلْ وَلِيُّ بِالْأَذْرِ. Then the wali, the person that's a guardian,
right? He has to deal with the consequences.
Yes. So that's what happens. It just doesn't automatically get void. Some of the other rulings you have, if a person they die or they become insane, then the contract is void. But this one here, the renting and the service, then it doesn't get void just because somebody they die or become insane. Okay, that's a point to shake.
What do you call a person that you hire as an employee? Is it the same thing as
labor,
ijara?
They call it.
Huh? No, but in Arabic, is it ijara is the same thing?
Yeah, they use the same word. But over here, the rules that he says, then that's a little bit different. So he talks about that later on. So talk about that later. Maybe like in the 10th point or something.
Like the ayah in the Quran, إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين على أن تأجرني ثمانية حجج. تأجرني is this ijara, same thing?
Yes, I believe so. I think that would be considered to be labor, but maybe it's considered to be a service also. So,
Yeah. So labor service, same thing.
no, it's different because there's different points. He talks about it later on. That's why I don't want to answer the
Okay,
question yet.
gotcha.
He has it like in one of the later points. He talks
Okay.
about this. We'll talk about that at that
Yeah.
time,
So
inshallah.
وتنفسخ بتلف العين المعقود عليها. It is terminated by the destruction of the property subject to the contract.
Yes.
So
Okay.
what is تلف? So it is terminated تنفسخ, which
Yes.
is the cancellation.
Yes.
بتلف, by the destruction of العين. What's the عين? عين المعقودة. معقود. What is عين المعقود عليها?
Means what is specific in the that's mentioned in the contract on it.
Oh, from the عقد. Okay.
Yes.
So
to read the English, this is very these things I go through and translate it.
yeah.
It's very hard
work
to translate.
So what's going on? I'm trying to understand. Like, it's terminated by the so, like, for example, what's the property that's being destroyed?
Okay, let's say that you had the car and you're going to bring it for service.
Yeah.
And the car gets smashed or something like that.
Okay.
And it's terminated. You don't have to complete that service.
Okay.
Or you're renting a property. Somebody rents it to the person, and the house burns down, for example.
Okay. So how are you going to rent it out now? It's gone.
Right, exactly. So that's the point that he has over there. So that's the 2 points there. Number 6 also.
أو انقطاع نفعها, or the ending of its benefit.
Right.
Meaning there's no benefit in renting this thing anymore. Or
like a person, they rent a house and the house catches fire. Then obviously a person, they don't have a benefit of staying there.
Yeah, what if the owner says, oh, you keep paying me rent? Well, there's no benefit to be had.
Yes. So basically, the person they're in a contract, then they have to fulfill their deals of the contract, not just because they change their mind, that's the main point.
Okay.
You have that. So that's what the sheikh is saying. The person, they change their mind, and it's not appropriate to cancel it. But if there's a reason for it where the object is destroyed or there's no benefit from it anymore, then the contract is canceled.
Okay. وللمستأجر فسخها بالعين.
Yes.
The one who's renting, he may terminate it due to some aib, because of some defect in
right. Yes. If there's a problem with, like, a person, they rent an apartment and something happens,
there's
where
termites or there's
mold,
mold.
not habitable.
Yeah.
Termites, no, I don't think that's sufficient. But
about mold.
Mold, if it is very dangerous. Mold.
What about bed bugs?
Mm-hmm. Are you a renter or are you?
No, I'm just curious. I'm not a renter, but
these things here, there's not like an exact and fast ruling.
Okay.
So a lot of times people, they have disagreements on it and things like that. So I don't want to say. I take the side of the landlord. Because my family, my parents, they used to. That's what my father did his whole life. The other people, they'll take the side of the.
So that's what. What is an aib? That's my question, right? Like قديما كان أو حديثا. So whether the defect is old or new, what does that mean?
Like, for example, let's say a person, they're renting a lawnmower, for example.
Okay.
Then they get the lawnmower is working, and then
it stops
a week
working.
later, then it died or something like that.
Okay.
Then he obviously can't rent it anymore. But let's say he rents it, then he takes it, then he finds out there was a defect for it before he got it.
Okay. Either way.
The same way. So
either way, he can cancel the rent contract.
Right. Yes. So because the person, they can't make use of the item for rent.
So what if he used it? For example, he rented it for $100 for 10 days. Then he used it for 5 days, then it died.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. If you go to Home Depot, right, and you rent something there, and you use it, then it stopped working after a while.
So what, you pay the partial rent?
Right? It's on them. It's not on you, right?
Yeah, so you pay the partial rent?
Well, let's say that you put a contract in that you're going to rent it for 5 days. You use it 2 days and stop working. Then what are you going to do?
You have to return it.
Then you give back to them and say, that's, you got to refund me the rest, right?
The rest of the money, not all the money, just the remaining.
I mean, there's different. These things are not. They're not like exact details. This is just a general ideas.
In general, okay.
So that's like the example for it.
Okay.
And like in an apartment, if they're renting an apartment and the water doesn't work, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
How's he gonna live?
Then they can't stay there. But let's say somebody rented an apartment, they went in, and they found a defect that was there before that they didn't know about. That prevents them from staying there properly.
Yeah.
So that's a defect. So he's saying that they can cancel the deal.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
ولا تصح إلا على نفع معلوم أما بالعرف. So it is only valid for a known benefit or by custom.
Yes. I mean, that's just a general statement of the person. Like, let's see, like what's it, like let's say a person they rent an apartment, and the person says that you can't go in the backyard.
Okay.
So that's not known. So it's got to be specifically known what the things are, or what's the customary. What's the custom?
Yeah,
there.
like
It's not
usually
mentioned
if there's a
specifically.
backyard, well, you can go to the backyard,
Right,
right? Unless
yes.
you tell me otherwise.
Yeah. So what's customary there? So that's what the point is there. Okay. Then he gives the examples there.
كسكن الدار.
Yes.
So just like living in a house.
Right.
أو بالوصف كخياطة
Mm-hmm.
ثوب معين.
Yes.
So or by description, like sew a specific garment. So you tell
Yes,
the guy
this is
like make me a shirt.
He's talking about the rent and the services that people have.
Yeah.
Renting, he mentions like a house. You rent a house, rent an apartment, and the service you have somebody like sew for you
like a tailor.
Tailor. I mean,
we call him a tailor.
They
over
make
there,
the clothing for you.
Yeah, not only just not only tailoring, but like specifically making the whole clothing.
Yes,
itself,
the garment for you. That's the examples that he gave.
Or أو بناء حائط.
Yes.
So you حائطا, maybe you make a wall.
Yes, so you hire a contractor to build a wall, so you pay for the whole job. In other words, that's what it's talking about. And number 13.
أو حمل شيء إلى موضع معين, or to transfer something to a specific location.
Yes, from one spot to another. Okay, so these are services over here, right? Yeah. So that's why I translated as service, not as labor, because he talks about the difference for it by. Okay, number 14. You read that one.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're saying the difference is in a service is that.
Yeah, it's still coming up later on. That it talks about
وضبط ذلك بصفاته, and it is determined by its description.
Yes, if somebody's doing a service or somebody they hire for a service, then they describe, they give the whole
what you want,
what they do,
the outcome. Yeah.
Right. Yes, that's for the service. Okay, let's go to number 15.
أو معرفة أجرته, or by knowing its rent.
Yes. So that's the other thing of a person that are renting a place. Obviously, they should know what
how much the rent
is. Not
is,
just I'm renting this place and that's it. And this goes back to the other lesson in business in general. There can't be ambiguity in the things, and the reason for that is because afterwards, one person assumes something and the other person assumes something else, and it results in disputes. And you find that's really what you have in the court system here in America. And the lawyer came here. One of the lawyers came here and gave a talk. He says that I do these cases, and it's not because people they don't do their contract, because they disagree on what the terms of the contract was.
Yeah,
that's what he says. So that's really the reason for a person to have to be very specific, very clear on the things that they do, not leave things that are ambiguous.
I gotcha.
So that's why he mentioned knowing the rent,
Okay.
And then he mentions number 16 more specifically.
وإن وقعت على عين فلا بد من معرفتها.
Yes. So if they specify a particular length of time that they're renting something, then they have to know exactly how much that is, how much it costs to rent it.
عين يعني for a specific amount of time.
Right.
وقعت على عين.
Yes.
فلا بد من معرفتها. Okay.
Yes, I think another example is like somebody they're going to rent a wood chipper from Home Depot. Then they say, "What's the rent for?" It's 100, right? But then the person didn't say how much time you're going to rent it for, right?
Yeah.
And then if a person they say, "I'm going to rent it for 2 days," then how much is it? Then you got to be specific in how much it is.
Yeah.
Not just assume that, not be ambiguous on the.
Like, oh no, it was actually for 20 years. Okay, well,
Allahu Akbar. That's really. That's really subhanAllah.
Yeah.
But then also the Sheikh he mentioned that if there's an orf, the standard.
Yeah.
Then you can go by that. But that's you mentioned the time, then it's got to be exactly clear on the amount of the rent.
Yeah. وإن استأجر شيئا فله أن يقيم مقامه من يستوفيه بإجارته. Whoever rents something has the right to appoint someone to take his place through his rent.
Yes, okay. That was in the time of Ibn Qudamah in Damascus. That's where he mentioned this. And back then, people they didn't have the issues of subletting. That's fine. You rent something to somebody, you rent an apartment to somebody, you can give it to somebody else, and they can take the rent. And people they didn't give problems to the landlord. Over here.
Mm.
Over here, the reason that they have specific rules on who you can sublet to, some lease to, because a lot of times when the landlords they rent to somebody that doesn't have the financial situation, he might pay the first month's rent, then he would stay there, and then a person. The question is, this is what I mentioned before: can a person kick that person out?
Yeah, why
Here
not?
in America?
He's not paying rent. I mean,
No,
he should be able to Islamically, yeah.
No, over here in America, you can't.
Oh, because of the squatter rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because of the squatting rights.
Well, I mean that's even worse,
Okay.
the squatter rights. But
oh, you're talking about eviction.
That's what you have to do,
Yeah, you have to go through eviction.
Go through eviction, and it's a lengthy process a lot of times, and a lot of times the judges they side with the tenant, and then what happens is a person they might stay there for so long, and it's very no. My father used to do this before. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
You see people they stay there for several months, without paying the rent,
Right.
Even and then you got to go to eviction and things like that, and then so there's a lot of issues.
So
that's
what
why
happens,
they say
Sheikh,
you can't sublet it to somebody else unless the other person is a reputable person. That's why they have that in the rules. So if a person they rent an apartment here, right, they want to sublet it to somebody else, take over my rent for me, then the landlord says you can't do that. That's the lease that you signed. But back in the old days, in this time frame, he said this person has a right to do that if he wants. If he's renting from somebody, then he can give it to somebody else, no problem.
Yeah.
That's what the Sheikh said.
Okay. So what happens, Sheikh, if the person is just taking a long time to get evicted, and he's missing all this rent that should have been paid? Then is that like a kind of dhulm in Islam then?
Oh yeah. On the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will repay everybody what they do, and it's not because the legal system allows a person to stay there, not pay the rent. It doesn't mean that they're doing what's right. Because the legal system doesn't mean that something is right because the legal system allows it.
Yeah.
And here in America, a good example you can say is slavery.
Yeah.
You had slavery a long time. It doesn't mean that that's right.
Yeah.
Not just because it's legal to do it. So that's the thing to bear in mind.
Same thing for alcohol, like drinking alcohol is allowed.
What happens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Ahkam al-Hakimin, the most just of judges.
Yeah.
And he gives people the repayment of things.
So
the thing is, what you have here in America, it's a government of the people.
Yeah.
So the people should stand up and try to enjoin the government to do what is correct and right, not to do other things. That's one side. But the other issue is that sometimes you have these issues where the rulings they have, it helps out poor and needy people. So then if a person, if they become like that, they're becoming bukhl. They're becoming, what do you call it?
Stingy.
Miserly and things like that. So that's another issue that you have. So you have both sides of the issue. So that's the thing to bear in mind. But anyway, people that have their rights and in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it'll be enjoined for that.
So about the sublet issue, subletting is by default is allowed.
That's what the Sheikh says.
Yeah, but if it's in the contract, you agree, I'm not going to sublet it, then that's a fine condition to have.
Yes.
But if you don't put a condition, then it's allowed by default, is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's in the time of Ibn Qudamah.
But it's still allowed. Like subletting is still allowed.
In the Islamic rule, that's
under Islamic rule. Yeah.
It's
unless it's specifically excluded.
Right. Yes. Okay. It's completely allowed according to Islamic rules.
Okay.
But today's day and age, the societies are different, the culture is different, the laws are different, things like that. So then, that would be an issue to keep in mind. Because the thing is, what happens is if you want to rent an apartment, what's a landlord do? Gives out a big
form
to see if you're
qualified.
If you're if you're accepted to rent the place.
Yeah.
And why they do that? Because of all these issues that they go through.
Yeah.
To make sure they can do it.
Okay.
So that's the issue. I'm speaking. The reason I'm saying this is because my father, that's what he used to do.
Yeah.
So I'm on that side. I'm sure if somebody is on the rental side, he's renting them, maybe he disagrees with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to go by this is what the Sheikh says. So we'll go by what he says, inshallah.
Okay. أو غيرها إذا كان مثله أو دون. So the renter can change it if it is similar or less.
Yes. So if the renter is let's say there's a person he owns several different places, and he agreed to rent one place, then the tenant, he says, let me rent the other place instead. So that's fine to do that, to change it to another. If it's similar or if it's less of a place,
Oh,
then
he
you can
wants
do
to
that.
keep the rent the same, but he for some reason doesn't like this particular thing, so he can get an exchange
Get something else that's
similar
equal or lesser.
or less. Yeah,
That's the
okay,
point. Then, yeah.
okay,
And these aren't hard and fast rules.
yeah,
These the situations. There are different situations. They have different things. So this is a general rule that he says
okay.
about. Okay, inshallah. Let's go to number
وإن
19.
استأجر أرضا للزرع فله زرع ما هو أقل منه ضرران. If he rents land for crops, he may plant crops that do not deteriorate the soil.
Yes. Okay, what happens is I'm not a country person. I'm not a person that's expert on agriculture, but I do know one thing, that sometimes if you plant things on some land, then the soil gets deteriorated, and therefore it doesn't have as much, what do you call it, you can't grow things as good the next time around on certain things that you plant. That's why you have in a lot of farms, they have rotation. They plant one thing one year, the next year they change it to something else, the next year they change it to something else, so the soil is viable, it doesn't get deteriorated. So that's the point the Sheikh is making over there. And also in another place he mentions, like if you plant trees, then what happens if a person, they uproot his trees, then what happens to the land? The land gets deteriorated. So he's mentioning those two.
Isn't
things.
this like crop sharing or something like that? Sharecropping? But so the rent can be other than the crops that are paid, right? It could be, the rent could be money or whatever for the land.
Yes, I think that was in a different lesson that
Yeah.
talked about that, about the about
But this
the,
is
crop
particularly
share.
about renting the land.
Yes, about they had another lesson on it before, on the crop sharing
Correct.
and the what was it, on the fruits
Yes.
that are there on the trees.
Yeah.
So they talked about that. So we went into detail about that.
Okay.
So this is if you're specifically renting a land to grow things on it, then it's fine to grow things on it that doesn't deteriorate the land. That's what the Sheikh is saying
Okay.
over there.
فإن زرع ما هو أكثر منه ضررا أو يخالف ضره فعليه أجرة المثل.
Yes.
If he plants more harmful crops or replaces the land to harm, he must pay the compensation. What is this? أو يخالف ضرره.
Yes, if we change the land to something that is worse than the soil, in other words,
Oh, he changed it and made the land worse. He deteriorated the land.
Yes.
He has to pay compensation
Yes.
for it.
So there's certain things that people, they plant, it has an effect on the soil.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he means over here when he's talking
So
about
is this kind of like, for example, if you rent like an apartment and then after that you mess up the apartment, so you have to pay for the mess up?
He's talking about crops and
in the
soil
land
over here.
But by analogy, then
Crops and soil.
no, crops are deteriorating the soil. But by analogy, if he's deteriorating the apartment or whatever he's renting beyond normal use, wear and like wear and tear, then there would be a compensation for deteriorating the thing.
Sometimes what you have to do is you have to look at the other factors also to make the complete determination.
Yeah,
So
usually take a security deposit for that, right? That way they cover it from the security deposit.
Yeah, because there's a lot of other things involved also. That's there also, so that's the issue. But the thing is, the main thing is if it's neglectful, then obviously a person is responsible for the neglect that he did. That's the issue about it.
وإن كتر إلى موضع فجاوزه. So وإن كتر, what's كتر?
Iktara means to rent.
وإن اكترى. Okay. وإن اكترى. If he اكترى is what?
To rent.
وإن اكترى إلى موضع. فجاوزه. What is that? إلى موضع. What is that? Like he goes beyond the lane?
Yeah, like if a person, they have like a huge amount of like a big giant farm, and he rents a specific area to the person, and then the person, they use more of it. So that's the point.
He has to pay. Okay.
Right, he has to pay for the extra amount that he used, the excess that he used.
Okay. أو لحمل شيء فزاد عليه فعليه أجرة المثل لزيادة.
Yes.
Yeah, so he tells someone to carry this, and then he gives him more weight, more than what he asked for. So then he has to pay him for the extra.
Right. Yes, he has to compensate for it. And I think people, they see that when they go on the airplane, right? They say the suitcase is going to be 50 pounds. You go in there with a 100-pound suitcase, what they're going to tell you? Okay,
that's why everyone hates the airline baggage.
But over here back then, they used to have, they didn't have airplanes back then. They just had donkeys and mules and things like that, and they would carry things in the back. So maybe there was a certain number of trips they had to do, and then if they increased the amount of stuff, then they would have to make more trips.
Okay.
I would say that.
وضمان العين إن تلفت. So if the property was damaged, then he is responsible. Who is responsible? The renter or the rentee?
Which number are you doing? Number 23?
23.
23?
The renter, it looks like.
Okay, yeah, this is the one that's doing the service. If it gets damaged, then he's responsible for the damage.
Yeah, the person who's working is responsible for the thing he breaks.
Yes.
And the person who is renting is responsible for the stuff he breaks in the rental, right?
Yeah, because usually the first point is if he did something negligent, then he's responsible for it.
Okay.
Because he did something that was inappropriate. Like, let's say somebody is renting a house.
Yeah, they turn the water on and floods the house.
No, like if he breaks the doors and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Then that person's responsible. He broke the door. But if something breaks that's not because of his negligence, he did things that were normal, then he wouldn't be responsible for it.
That's what it says. وَإِن تَلَفَتْ مِنْ غَيْرِ تَعَدِّ.
Yeah, he's talking about the whole thing.
فَلَا ضَمَانَ عَلَيْهِ. Then in that case, then no. He's not responsible for. If he's responsible if he was negligent, but he's not responsible if he's not negligent.
Right. Yes, for the person that's renting the thing out. That's the point. And over here, telefut means the whole thing got destroyed. So it means like not in a house, but maybe like renting a particular item. It says that if he was renting it, and then it got destroyed, and it was his fault that caused it to be destroyed, then the person that was renting it is responsible for it. Otherwise, if he didn't do anything wrong with it, then the person that was renting them, he's responsible for it.
Okay. وإن ضمان على الأجير الذي يؤجر نفسه.
Yeah, this is what your question was before. So
مدة بعينها فيما يتلف في يده. So the one who is hired for a specific period of time, hourly, is not responsible for anything that is damaged in his hand. من غير تفريط. From without neglect.
Yes. So somebody that hires somebody, he didn't do anything neglectful, by the hour. Hire somebody by the hour or the labor, then that person gets paid no matter what.
It is over here على الأجير or أجيري. أجيري ولا ضمان على الأجير الذي يؤجر نفسه مدة
بعينها. مدة means a time. عينها, a specific amount of time.
فيما يتلف في يده.
And what is destroyed while he was doing it.
Okay.
Like for example, let's say somebody had to work on a car, and you bring it to a mechanic. He works on the car, and then the mechanic can't fix the car because something is wrong with it, so he's not responsible for it. But let's say you hire a mechanic by the hour. They say, come over here and work on the car, and he starts to work on it and says, sorry, I can't fix it. There's too many problems with it. You still got to pay him.
Yeah, because it's for the hours, not for the fix.
Yeah, so that's the point there, for the hour, doing something by the hour. But if you're hired for the service, and he's got to complete the service, then he gets paid. But if you hire somebody by the hour, then you got to pay him by the hour, even if the item at hand gets destroyed. If it wasn't his fault, then you still got to pay him by the hour.
Okay.
But in the case where you do a service, if it gets destroyed, then you don't pay the person. That's what he said. That's provided that person didn't do anything neglectful.
ولا على حجام أو ختان أو طبيب إذا عرف منه حذق في الصنعة.
Yes.
So if the barber or the circumciser or the doctor, طبيب, إذا عرف منه, when it is known, حذق في الصنعة. حذق, what's حذق? حذق في الصنعة. حذق is, I think, being skillful. Yeah.
Skillful in his labor. So you have somebody, let's say you have somebody that's been doing things for 10 years, So he's knowledgeable and he's familiar with. Or a doctor over here, he went through the med school and things like
Yeah.
that. He's very well knowledgeable. So when he goes and he does the things according to the knowledge he has, and then something happens to the person, then
He's not responsible.
Can't be blamed for him
Unless he was negligent.
If it's somebody that's not familiar with the thing and then he was doing something, he did something not correct, then he'll be responsible. That's the point over here.
Oh.
And that over here is a lot of times you have electricians, people that work on electrical things, and plumbers also they have sometimes. If a person they're not experienced and they're not knowledgeable, they go and they work on electricity, then then that's problematic, over it. But if somebody that's been doing this, then that's why they say over here in today's day and age, you get a licensed plumber or licensed electrician because they're knowledgeable of the things that they're doing. So if you have somebody that's an expert, knowledgeable plumber, he goes and he works on the things. Obviously, he did the things properly and correctly. If something went bad, then he didn't do anything that was negligent.
It's not his fault.
But then if you have somebody that never did something before, then he did something bad, then that's his fault. And I could tell you by personal example, painting. If you hire a painter, you're going to make sure somebody that knows how to paint.
So you hire a good painter, and then he paints, and then he does a good job. You're fine.
Yes.
But if he messes up, then it's not his fault. Unless he was negligent, then it's his fault.
Well, I'm just saying in practicality, if you hire somebody that hasn't painted before,
then he's going to mess up.
He's going to make the place worse than it was before.
So,
that's the experience I had. So anyway, I'm just saying things from my experience.
So what happens here? وَلَمْ تَجِنْ أَيْدِيَهُمْ. What is and their hands have not cut wrong.
Yes, it's just continuing from the previous point. These people, they work on their hands. The doctor, they work on their hand, and the circumciser, and what was the other one that you mentioned? And
the doctor and the barber. And the
barber, right? Yeah. So they've been doing it a long time. So it's in their hand, when they're cutting their hair with their hand or they're doing incisions.
So what if the person is unskilled? Then what? Is he responsible?
Yeah, he's responsible because he's not. Then obviously he did something ignorant or something that was negligent. So that's the point that you have somebody that's doing it for a long time and knows what they're doing, familiar with what they're doing. They're not going to do something negligent. They're not going to do something wrong. But somebody that's ignorant of it, then it's very likely that he's going to do something improper and that's faulty. That's the point that he has there. Okay. These things are not like hard and fast rules. Like
I got you.
It's just a general concept you have.
Okay. ولا على الراعي إذا لم يتعد. So and on the shepherd if he didn't transgress, meaning you hire a shepherd, and then he has your sheep, and then he does all the right job, but then he accidentally loses a sheep or something.
Yeah, let's say he's shepherding the sheep, and a wolf comes and
what is he gonna do?
No, he didn't do anything negligent, so that's not his fault. But if he has a sheep, he brings it to an area. He did something negligent. Then
so what happens if he's like driving his flock, and then he doesn't pay attention, and then one of the sheep goes away? So what do you do then? And then the wolf eats the sheep. The wolf eats the sheep. So what do we do?
Well, he said if he did not transgress. So if he didn't do anything that's transgressing, that's negligent, then he's not blamed for it. But if he did something that was transgressing, then he'd be responsible for it.
Okay.
So that's the point that he's allowed.
ويضمن القصار والخياط ونحوهما ممن يستقبل العمل ما تلف بعمله ما تلف وما تلف بعمله. The builder, ويضمن القصار. قصار is the builder.
Yes.
And then والخياط is the tailor. And ونحميهما, and similar like them, who undertake the work are liable for what is destroyed in their work. Okay. ونحوهما من يستقبل ممن يستقبل العمل ما تلف بعمله.
Yes.
So what does this mean? Like, for example, if a builder, tailor, or others are destroying something.
No. If they're like a builder, you hire a builder to build a house, for example, that he's building the house and the house is not built. Or somebody building a wall, and he goes to build a wall, and the wall
falls down,
then he's responsible for the work that he's doing at that
to fix it.
And that thing. And if you hire somebody to sew your clothes for you, and the clothes get destroyed, then that person is responsible for it. That's the point for it. No?
So, Sheikh, what happens sometimes is, let's just finish out here.
Yes.
دون ما تلف من حرزه.
Yes,
But not for what is destroyed under their protection.
yes. So if a person, let's say a person, you hire a person to go change the toilet in the house.
Mm.
So he goes there and he's there in the house, and while he's changing the toilet, somebody comes in and robs the house.
Oh, okay.
That's or not, or if he goes in there and then the roof, something happens on the roof. So he's responsible for the toilet, not for the roof, right?
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And like the tailor, so he's responsible. Let's say he brought him to your house to fix your clothes. So when you're working on your clothes, then what happens? The carpet gets damaged or something like that. Not because, but he was there at your house. But
Yeah, but he's not responsible for that.
the
Yeah.
other things that happened, just the things that he was specifically working on. Then that's under his responsibility. That's a point there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you can say the example of automobile. Somebody got a car, and you say fix your brakes. And you went to fix the brakes, then you get the car. A day later, the car doesn't start. Then you can't blame him for your car not starting. He didn't do anything to make it not start. He just worked on the brakes, right? So that's like maybe that's an example for it.
So
Okay, inshallah.
it was interesting, Sheikh. I think, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, inshallah, we'll stop over here. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And if I send anything from the ilm, take it. Anything from myself, disregard it. And keep in mind, this is my experience. Maybe other people have different opinions. So if it is something from my opinion, just disregard it. Just go by the ilm, inshallah, what the Shaykh said.
Yeah.
And Allah knows best. Jazakumullah khair. Shukran.